Jason, posing as a special ops soldier, quietly infiltrated the military training camp. Without any of the other soldiers noticing, he pulled out a vial from his sleeve and discreetly poured its contents into his assassination target's coffee. Just then, the drill sergeant suddenly ordered everyone to assemble. In a rush to warm up, John quickly downed the coffee and headed out with the squad for training. However, it wasn't long before John felt something was off with his body. Within minutes, he collapsed to the ground from poisoning and ultimately succumbed to the frigid cold, meeting his demise on the training field. The next day, this accidental freezing death made front-page news, and the mastermind behind it all was none other than Jason, a retired professional hitman. Originally, Jason and his girlfriend Mary were living a peaceful, happy life until an unexpected letter shattered their tranquility. The letter brought devastating news. His former partner Mike had been abducted. Mike was Jason's closest friend who had saved his life in critical moments. Upon learning of his brother's dire situation, Jason was enraged. Following the clues in the letter, he went to the designated location. After entering the room, he discovered a sheikh from a desert region waiting for him. The sheikh claimed to be an oil tycoon whose 3 sons had all been murdered, leaving only his youngest still by his side. Seeking revenge for his dead sons, he had taken Mike hostage and threatened Jason to eliminate the killers. The targets were 3 members of the Air Force. To avoid raising suspicion, the sheikh demanded that Jason disguise the assassinations as accidents. Upon completion, not only would Mike be released, but Jason would also be paid $3 as a reward. To save his friend, Jason had no choice but to agree, but he requested to see Mike first. The sheikh consented and sent someone to take Jason to the cell. After confirming Mike was unharmed, Jason planned to escape with him directly. He had the guard bring a glass of water and knocked him out when he was caught off guard. But as soon as the two rushed out of the cell, the sheikh's youngest son blocked their path. Left with no other option, Jason decided to carry out the mission as planned. To ensure foolproof execution, he contacted 2 trusted friends and promised them the entire $3 reward if they helped rescue Mike. Faced with this huge sum, the 2 gladly joined. Jason's first target was a retired Special Forces soldier. As night fell, he stealthily snuck into the target's mansion, pried off a bathroom tile, and fashioned it into a hammer. With preparations complete, the hunt officially began. Jason stood at the edge of the subway platform, contemplating ending his life. As he watched the train approaching the station, ready to jump, a girl suddenly entered his field of vision. She looked frantic, as if she was running from something, with a few brawny men hot on her heels. Jason immediately realized the girl might be in danger. The moment the girl stepped onto the train, the thugs followed suit. She tried to get off, but it was too late. Seeing the girl in peril, Jason decisively chose to intervene. A few days ago, Jason was a SWAT officer. He was forced to resign after exposing his colleagues' corruption and facing retaliation. Desperate to make ends meet, he stooped to throwing fights for a gang. However, during one match, he hit his opponent too hard, causing substantial losses for the gang boss. In a fit of rage, the gang brutally murdered Jason's pregnant wife. Faced with this deep-seated grudge, Jason didn't seek revenge. Instead, he knelt before his enemy, not out of cowardice, but because he had lost the will to live. The gang leader spared his life, but warned him to get the hell out of the city, or everyone close to him would suffer. To protect others, Jason chose to skip town and began a life of wandering. On the subway, someone recognized Jason and wanted an autograph, but he coldly replied, "I'm just a vagrant." Although life had pushed him into the abyss, Jason still had a kind heart. At a shelter, someone coveted his leather shoes. Initially, Jason wanted to tell the guy to scram, but he noticed the man's leg was injured. So, he silently handed over the shoes. Unexpectedly, the next day, that homeless man was brutally killed. Jason realized the gang's influence had even infiltrated this place. After being kicked out of the shelter, Jason got bumped by a vagrant. When he went to buy KFC, he discovered his wallet had vanished, realizing the man had swiped it during the commotion. The store owner called the cops, and the officer who showed up was the one Jason had reported years ago. The cop took him to a secluded corner, rounded up some men, and beat the crap out of him, cursing that he would only bring misfortune to his loved ones and urging him to off himself. That day, wearing his leather shoes, Jason came to the subway station, ready to jump onto the tracks. As he took a final glance at the world, he noticed a few thugs chasing a girl. Her eyes were filled with terror and despair. The moment the train started moving, Jason stood up again. No matter the outcome, he had to save this kid. With the girl cornered and nowhere to run, at the critical moment, Jason rushed forward. Jason's fingertips barely grazed the brick in the tunnel when he suddenly lost his footing and plummeted. His partners immediately panicked, frantically calling out his name. When Jason regained consciousness, he found himself lying amidst a pile of bones. A few days earlier, Jason was on his way to KFC when 2 burly men stopped him and started smashing his car. Jason angrily cursed at them but didn't dare to fight back because he owed them money for his hair transplant. Jason pleaded for more time, but to his surprise, they not only refused, but also brandished iron clubs, threatening him. At that moment, a BMW stopped not far away. Jason tried to seize the opportunity to escape, but before leaving, the men smashed another car window and warned him to pay up soon. The driver of the BMW was Jason's ex-girlfriend, Mary. Learning that Jason was having a hard time, she offered him a chance to make money. As they walked into KFC together, Mary revealed that the business she mentioned was robbing a bank vault. Jason hesitated at first, but Mary said she had received reliable information that a bank's security system was malfunctioning and wouldn't be fixed for a week. A once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Thinking about his mounting debts and his wife and children at home, Jason finally agreed. The next day, Jason accompanied Mary to the bank. On the surface, Mary was there to withdraw money, but in reality, she was covering for Jason as he scouted the internal structure. Meanwhile, their accomplices quietly took photos outside the bank, documenting the surrounding environment. Once all the intelligence was ready, they began planning their operation. Jason noticed a vacant store next to the bank and rented it as a base. After his teammates put up a store under renovation sign, they entered the basement with tools, intending to dig a tunnel into the vault. However, just as the digging was halfway through, there was a sudden knock at the door, causing everyone to become extremely tense. Jason sent his partner Paul to check, only to discover that the visitor was a police officer. Paul put on a calm facade, explaining that they were working overtime to renovate the store, hoping to open for business soon. The officer entered to investigate, but fortunately didn't discover the underground tunnel. He only reminded them that the renovation noise was too loud and had already prompted complaints from upstairs residents. Jason quickly apologized with a smile, promising to lower the volume, and managed to send the officer away. Just as everyone breathed a sigh of relief, there was another knock at the door. Paul nervously opened it, only to find that it was a delivery person bringing the KFC that his teammate had ordered. This series of events made Jason decide that they must arrange for someone to keep watch, so he sent Sean to monitor from the building across the street. However, Sean was so bored that he often chatted idly on the walkie-talkie, not realizing that their conversations were being monitored. Hearing someone mention the word police, a neighbor immediately became alert. Inside the tunnel, Jason was digging with gusto when suddenly, with a loud bang, he fell into a hollow space. Upon awakening, Jason was startled to discover that he was surrounded by skeletons. Borrowing a flashlight, he realized that this was an ancient burial chamber that happened to lead directly to the bank vault. For them, this was equivalent to saving more than half the work. Jason was overjoyed and immediately began breaking through the wall to widen the path. But just then, Sean, who was upstairs, asked through the walkie-talkie, "How much longer until we dig through to the vault?" This sentence was accidentally overheard by a neighbor, who immediately recorded the conversation and called the police to report that someone was planning to rob the bank. Upon hearing the recording, the police were shocked and quickly mobilized forces, preparing to surround the bank.